Hello, my friends, grace and much peace. Welcome to another episode of Conexão Ide. And in today's program, I want you to pay close attention to some statistics that I am going to show here. We who work with the global missionary cause are interested in knowing the results of every survey, every statistic that shows what the church is doing in the world and reveals the state of worldwide evangelization, because this is a task that falls to us. Go into all the world. Preach the gospel to every creature. Let's look at the following. There are approximately 8 billion people in the world. Of these, 33% identify themselves as Christians, and we will identify this here as Group 1 and with the letter C, Group C, for Christian. Now, it's worth noting that not everyone who identifies as a Christian is truly a Christian. In a crowd, not everyone present there is a Christian. Many are there because their parents are there. Many are following a family tradition, but have not had a real experience with God. And when struggles and difficulties come, that's when they can prove whether they are Christians. Then they abandon Christianity. These people are included among that 33%. Now observe, 38% of humanity are those who have access to Christianity, have a church nearby, have a co-worker who is Christian or a neighbor, and have already heard the gospel once, twice, or maybe even hundreds of times, but have never at any point in their lives truly made the decision to follow Jesus, not even once. Here, we will identify this group as Group B, but the group of the reached. They have been reached by the gospel but rejected it. 38% of the world. Now look here. Combining the 33% who are Christians, who identify as Christians, and the 38% who have been reached by the message of the gospel but did not accept Jesus. By combining these two groups, we have 71% of humanity. Now pay attention, because this other number I'm going to show here, 29% of humanity, is the global population of the unreached, those who have never heard the message that the church was given the responsibility to deliver, and this is very serious. This is our mission field that still urgently needs to hear the message for the very first time. Now take a look here. Let's now observe the financial power of the church to evangelize the world, because I've always asked myself why the church hasn't reached the ends of the earth. If there are so many luxurious temples, if there are tithes and offerings collected at every service, why hasn't the church used that money to evangelize the world? Here's the explanation. Pay attention. Out of every approximately 1,800 Christians, only one in total decides to become a cross-cultural missionary. And in this way, we can count that there are 400,000 missionaries in the world. However, 72% of this missionary force is going to territories that have already been evangelized, to places where the gospel is being preached almost every day. Every day on every street corner. Notice this. In other words, they are specifically going to work in areas and regions where people already have churches, possess Bibles, and where the gospel is actively being preached and shared by many different people in many various places throughout the community. Maybe you, who live in a big city where there are 400 congregations, each with a preacher and many believers inside, and the neighborhood makes up this, not the neighborhood, the workers make up this group. Now pay attention here. This global evangelical community, the Christians in the world, they make contributions to their churches with their tithes and offerings, a total of $42 trillion. $42 trillion each year, every single year. Of these $42 trillion that they generate, in fact, this is the money they generate. They earn it through their work, with their salaries, with their businesses, $42 trillion. Of these $42 trillion produced by global Christianity, $700 billion are donated to support church activities. These are the tithes and offerings collected at each service. Pay attention. That amounts to only 6% of those 42 trillion. Now, of those 45 billion that are invested in missionary work, 39 billion go to support missionaries who are working in places that have already been reached. Where are those who have heard the gospel once, twice, 3 times, and have not accepted Jesus? That's 89% of the amount set aside for missions, which refers to organized efforts to spread the Christian faith. And this significant portion is being invested in territories and regions that have already been reached and influenced by the gospel message. Now things get even more complicated. Only $450 million out of the $45 billion, that is just 1% of all the money that goes to missions, goes to missionaries who are serving in unreached places, to reach 29% of the world's population. Did you get that? 1% of all the money raised for missions goes toward reaching that 29%, which amounts to a population of more than 2 billion and perhaps 450 million people who have never once heard the message that the church was given the responsibility to proclaim. Now, I want to ask you a question to finish this message. What are you personally doing to change this as a Christian, as a pastor, as a worker in your daily life? Who knows? Maybe today you could help, yes, the Church for All Nations project to support pastors who are working in Burundi, which is the poorest country in the world. You can start making a difference. Do it now, because these statistics, they are real, they are true, and they show a picture of the church in the world. And this picture is not pleasant to see. Let's change this. May God bless you.